ideal. Then they wanted to establish this ideal in practice, here and on this earth. The arguments that socialism would not and could not work did not stop them. Neither has altruism ever worked, but this has not caused men to stop and question it. Only reason can ask such questions, and reason, they were told on all sides, has nothing to do with morality. Morality lies outside the realm of reason. No rational morality can ever be defined. The fallacies and contradictions in the economic theories of socialism were exposed and refuted time and time again, in the 19th century as well as today. This did not and does not stop anyone. It is not an issue of economics, but of morality. The intellectuals and the so-called idealists were determined to make socialism work. How? By that magic means of all irrationalists, somehow. It was not the tycoons of big business. It was not the labor unions. It was not the working classes. It was the intellectuals who reversed the trend toward political freedom and revived the doctrines of the absolute state, of totalitarian government rule, of the government's right to control the lives of the citizens in any manner it pleases. This time, it was not in the name of the divine right of kings, but in the name of the divine right of the masses. The basic principle was the same: the right to enforce, at the point of a gun, the moral doctrines of whoever happens to seize control of the machinery of government. There are only two means by which men can deal with one another: guns or logic, force or persuasion. Those who know that they cannot win by means of logic have always resorted to guns. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the socialists got their dream. They got it in the 20th century, and they got it in triplicate, plus a great many lesser carbon copies. They got it in every possible form and variant, so that now there can be no mistake about its nature. Soviet Russia, Nazi Germany, Socialist England. This was the collapse of the modern intellectual's most cherished tradition. It was World War II that destroyed collectivism as a political ideal. Oh yes, people still mouth its slogans, by routine, by social conformity, and by default, but it is not a moral crusade any longer. It is an ugly, horrifying reality, and part of the modern intellectual's guilt is the knowledge that they have created it. They have seen for themselves the bloody slaughterhouse, which they had once greeted as a noble experiment: Soviet Russia. They have seen Nazi Germany, and they know that Nazi means National Socialism. Perhaps the worst blow to them, the greatest disillusionment, was Socialist England. Here was their literal dream, a bloodless socialism, where force was not used for murder, only for expropriation, where lives were not taken, only the products, the meaning, and the future of lives. Here was a country that had not been murdered, but had voted itself into suicide. Most of the modern intellectuals, even the more evasive ones, have now understood what socialism, or any form of political and economic collectivism, actually means. Today, their perfunctory advocacy of collectivism is as feeble, futile, and evasive as the alleged conservatives' defense of capitalism. The fire and the moral fervor have gone out of it. And when you hear the liberals mumble that Russia was not really socialistic, or that it was all Stalin's fault, or that socialism never had a real chance in England, or that what they advocate is something that's different somehow, you know that you are hearing the voices of men who haven't a leg to stand on. Men who are reduced to some vague hope that somehow my gang would have done it better. The secret dread of modern